Okay, so I'm going to explain to you about the e-collar kit. Now, I'm explaining it using my dog's e-collar. It's exactly the same model that you have, except obviously in the background you can see that Berkey's got his on, okay? So I'm going to go over exactly what this kit entails with the contents, and then you can review this later. So obviously the box that it comes in, we see that you've ordered an extra bungee, which is great. You can use that. You don't have to use this bungee collar, but it's a nice option. For now, I've put on the regular collar, okay? So that's what we're using right now. We'll see how he does on that. This is what you're going to use to plug in to charge the collar. It has a splitter on it, so it goes into the back of the pager and goes into the back of the collar, okay? So these two things go in. It's a 2 to 3 hour charge, so it's relatively fast. You do not have to charge the collar every day. Depending on how often you use it, you will be using it every day, but depending on how much energy is used up every single day, typically I charge my collars about every 3 days. That's usually when I will charge it. So in order to turn the collar on and off, there is 2 magnets on the pager and the collar. They're both red. You're going to tap those together and you're going to see a little tiny green dot that shows up. That now means that this is now turned on and ready to go. Now, that does not mean that this is turned on. So on the back of this pager, you'll see that there's the on and off light button, and there's the M and C. I've already programmed your collar to the C, which represents continuous, which is the mode that I use for all training dogs, okay? So that doesn't have to change. You won't have to worry about that. But to turn it off and on, you will be using that big center circle. You'll be holding in for a second, and it will now display. Okay, so you can see on this collar, or on this pager, if you can see the numbers going up and down, you'll see that now the collar is working and functional. I'll turn it back to 0 for these purposes, okay? And you'll see that every once in a while, a little tiny light will flash green. All that means, again, is that it's powered on, okay? Now, when it starts flashing red on both of these collars, that's the time that you need to get it on to be charged, and you've probably used it a lot, so then you need to charge it that evening or at that time. It takes about 2 or 3 hours to have a full charge. Just plug it in, stick it in. What I do with my personal dogs is I plug it in at nighttime, and then the collars are ready to use first thing in the morning. So it's just being proactive and knowing how much you've used it in order to know when it needs to be charged. Now, if this green light starts to flash orange, then that means you've missed the opportunity to charge it because it would have been flashing red and you didn't charge it in time. So then unfortunately that means that the collar is now dead and does not work. So you'll need to get it on the charger immediately in order for it to work again and get charged. Okay, so the best indication is green means go. That means it's all good and working order, ready to be charged. It's already charged. Red is a warning that it needs to be charged, and orange means it's dead. Okay, so just be proactive. So what you'll also notice in the display here, and I'll show this to you, you'll see that there is a 1D flashing on the top. As I change the numbers, it doesn't change, it just continues to flash 1D. All that means is this is a 1-dog unit. So it's meant for 1 dog. You can buy collars that are designed to control 2, 3, 4 dogs at a time. Your collar is for 1 dog, okay? That's all that is. So this is the antenna. This changes the levels. You can also lock this. So when you know what level your dog is supposed to be at for indoors and your level that it's supposed to be at for outdoors, if you decide to go for a walk with your dog or whatever, you can lock the level so that you don't accidentally change the level and hit the dog too high or too low in that moment. But that takes time to understand those levels, okay? In order to lock it, all you're going to simply do is hold down the top of the dial that changes the levels. You're going to hold it down for a couple of seconds. It's going to flash, and then it'll be locked. And now it's locked at level 30, and I can't change that level unless I go to unlock it again. Okay, so again, to unlock it, I'm going to hold it down for a couple of seconds. It's going to flash, and now I can use that dial and change to whatever level I am. It's very important to note that when you're training a dog, every dog is not the same level, and they will feel things differently depending on their age, their experience, their training, their energy level, their instincts. All those things come into play. how calm they are, how hyper they are, their personality, all those things come into play as to what levels. So do not get stuck on the level. The level for your dog is that level for your dog, period. It has nothing in comparison to any other dog.